Howdy doody, welcome back to the ranch. My name is Mick. This, my 1958 Mercury Montclair Turnpike Cruiser. I love this car. We rescued it about a year ago now, got it up and running. Unfortunately, quickly figured out, after looking underneath it, that it was spewing automatic transmission fluid everywhere. We shut her down, stowed her in the garage, and there it sat for about a year now. It's been killing me to look at that thing sitting in there, just unused and neglected. So today, we're gonna fix it. So, it's been a minute. I picked up this box of goodies a long time ago, so I honestly don't even remember what I got. But I made a few notes from that day that we got it running, just miscellaneous items that I knew I was going to have to install in order to get this thing reliably running. But the main thing that I'm after is this right here. This is the transmission seal that basically keeps all the fluid from spewing out of the front end of the transmission. And unfortunately, such a simple little thing comes with a very time-consuming install. So what we have to do is get this automatic transmission disconnected from the drive shaft, get it disconnected from the engine, remove all the cooler lines to it, remove the supports, and we drop it down, wheel it out, all just to slide this new seal on. So it's going to be fun, and this is the exact reason why I've been putting it off. It's just a time-consuming job, and I've glanced under this car before, and I know it is just full of grease and gunk. So it's going to be a messy job as well. Nothing to it but to do it. We just got to get started and get her over with, because once that's done, then we'll move into some general maintenance on this thing, get the brakes done, and I'm pretty sure from there it'll be ready to hit the road. So first step, got to get this thing on. Okay, so here's what we're looking at down here. Basically, where we're leaking from and where I noticed we were leaking from was right out of this slot here. It's right where your engine and transmission join. And I got to get this inspection plate off because I got to get to my torque converter bolts, so we'll take a peek at that. Basically, right in your input shaft here is where that seal sits, and in order to get to it, we gotta take this plate off, get our torque converter off. I would imagine our starter is right there, so we got to get that off, drain the fluid out of here. Our cross member here we got to get off, emergency brake cable, speedometer cable, and then down here along my drive shaft I noticed we got quite the leak going on. So I don't have the part for that, but that's something I'll have to look at doing as well, but that'll be another time. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So I'm going to start by pulling that inspection plate off and basically getting everything loose, get this drive shaft out of here, and we'll go from there. We are to the point of removing torque converter bolts. I got my YOLO switch here, and I'm going to hook this to my starter. I already got one bolt out, but I got to rotate my flex plate around and get to each bolt. So, battery's live. Let's hook this on the starter, see if we can't bump that thing around and get the torque converter bolts out. Never mind, kicking it old school. Remember having troubles with this starter last time too.
She's doing doing sit-ups. Sit-ups don't work. They don't isolate the abdominal muscles. And look at her legs everywhere. The wrong way. Simply put the ab isolator on. It locks her legs down, isolates her abdominals. It targets the stomach muscles automatically. Women who've had babies or problems with their lower abs want to target that area.
I'm gonna reach up here, get my starter bolts. Should be 3 of them from what I'm feeling. Am I on it? Because that was completely loose.
That's what she said.
This one's tight. That one is also completely loose. Alrighty. As I'm not necessarily enjoying myself, I am quite enjoying the fact that every bolt that I've taken off so far, every single one, is a 1/2 inch. With exception to the torque converter bolts, which are 9/16, everything else has been a 1/2 inch. Pretty convenient. That's how they did it back in '58. Made it simple. Honestly, why take it all the way out? It's propped up there really nice and solid. I'd have to really finagle her out of there. I think I'm just gonna leave it. And if we gotta move it later, we can. But for now, that's pretty sturdy there. I like it. Let's get this thing grained. Top line first. Lady. Alright, I basically got everything disconnected, all my cables, all but one bell housing bolt, and now I'm just loosening up my cross member here. Once I have this loose, then I'll be able to start shifting the transmission around and get it disconnected, and then the fun's going to start, because we're going to have to figure out how to get this thing on the ground without dropping it by myself. And that's always a challenge, but we'll figure it out. So I'm gonna get this all the way off and we'll start shimmying this thing around. I missed a bell housing bolt. Please explain to me how I'm supposed to know that that one's there. It is so hidden behind that bracket. This thing is kicking my butt. I'm having a tough time getting this out, but I'm hoping after this bolt is out, it just pops right out and I don't drop it and everything goes hunky-dory. All I know is that it's been a long day and I'm tired, so I'm hoping I can just get this thing on the ground and I can save scraping all the grit and grime off of it for another day. Let's get this thing out and get this over with. My body is tired, I think. I gotta come back and do this another day, ideally with another person, but I don't know, I'm beat. I believe my problem is the torque converter's not coming out with the transmission. And I'm beat down, I'm tired. This wasn't the only thing I was doing today. I was all over the place, so I'm just, you know, it's Sunday. I've had a week full of hustling around, and now it's 8 o'clock, so I get dinner and a shower and then bed, and Monday we start all over again. I say that like I'm not excited to do this, but I am. I want to get this done. I'm just a little broken down at the moment. So I'm going to get a fresh mind on me tomorrow after work, and hopefully I can pop that torque converter loose, because I think that's what's hanging me up. I don't have enough space without the torque converter leaving the flex plate. So, enough rambling. I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Fresh mind, fresh day, not fresh body. As you can tell, I've already been down there finagling, trying to get this thing loose, and I think I got it, but it did not come without time and troubleshooting. I just couldn't figure out where I was getting hung up. I mean, torque converter wasn't coming out, I knew that, and I got that popped loose. That was all good. But then the shifter cable, I thought that I took loose from before, but I didn't. As I was dropping it, I found another. No way to get that thing off at the transmission. You actually have to come up, chase the cable through the firewall up to the actual shifting mechanism, this thing, and to get to the little clip that's holding it. Wow. Let me tell you something about that engineering. That's how they did it back in '58. Made it simple. I'm a pretty small guy, I mean in stature. I'm not hefty by any means. I had to weasel in there, get my fingers in there, and get this C-clip off.
You just drop in and just smack the lip, whoop-ah, drop down, snap, ah, and then after that, you just drop in, just ride the barrel and get pitted, so pitted. Like
that was so hidden, and plus I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm trying to figure everything out by feel because I can't see. Finally, I got my camera in there enough to see that there's a C-clip holding it, and by camera and needle nose pliers was able to pop it off. I lost it, no idea where it went. At this point, I do not care at all. Anyway, transmission's loose. It's time to get this thing on the ground. I have a feeling just by looking, now that it's loose and I can really see, you know, lay of the land, I think this exhaust, which is clearly not stock, it's custom, I'm thinking it's definitely going to be in the way, and there's no way I'm even going to start to try to battle the manifold bolts. So if I got to cut some stuff and re-weld it, I'm prepared to do that. Let's get down there, see if we can't get this thing on the ground. Wow, what a battle. But we didn't drop it. Hi, lady girl. All right, back up for me. Good girl. I just looked at my camera and realized that I wasn't recording, but we got it out. It didn't go that bad. I knew it was going to be low, which is why I moved it from the jack to the creeper, but it just slid out, just cleared the frame, so. This is where having a skid steer is really going to come in handy. First impressions, I am wet right here, but I can't tell if that's where I'm leaking from. So this is the seal that I got, and there is a little pooling right here, as if this is leaking, but it's also up here where the torque converter sits. I mean, regardless, I'm going to replace that seal. It's just, you know, it would be a heck of a finding to replace that seal, throw it back up in there, and it's still pouring out. First things first, this thing is a gunky mess, so I'm going to spend probably a couple hours with a scraper, some degreaser, pressure washer, and we're going to get this thing cleaned up so it's not such a nasty mess to deal with. And that is my last bottle of brake clean, so we're gonna call that good enough. You know, for what we're doing here, I just wanted to knock the inches of grease off. Here's the original tag that I didn't even know was there. Some stamps in there. I can't really make out anything except the Ford logo, which is also over here, Fomoco. So I believe these Mercomatic transmissions are the same as the Ford-O-Matic, just Mercury versus Ford, which is same. I believe. I don't know anything about these transmissions. All in all, the grease is knocked off, so now we're gonna get on this seal here, see if we can't pop that thing off and get a new one in it, and then I'll probably call it a day and get this thing popped back in tomorrow. All right, so my only form of a plan here, because I've never done this, is screwdriver and a hammer and just chip away from the edges till I get it. Before I do that, I just want to make sure that my new seal is going to work, and it sure looks like it does. So let's see if we can't get a hold on this thing without boogering it up. Now I'm assuming, obviously I couldn't see anything. I was before I took it out, I couldn't see the inside of the seal. Even with a flashlight, I really couldn't get a good look at it. It's split here. I'm assuming it's split because of me whacking it. But even like here where I whacked it, it didn't split. I'm wondering if it was just dry, brittle, you know, not malleable enough to seal anymore, which would cause it to crack, obviously. But yeah, so in order to get the new one in, I don't have a driver, so I'm gonna just tap her in. But I'm gonna clean this up a little bit first. Cleaning this with a paper towel and some PB Blaster, in hopes that the PB Blaster will also get me a little lubricated to get the new seal in. got a different sound down there. I think I'm about seated. Yeah. New seal is in. Now it's time to throw it up. But I think I'm gonna take some time and do some cleaning under the car as well, just off camera, and make sure everything's prepped, ready to go. Probably clean the inside of this bell housing a little bit, throw my torque converter in, and send it. So I'll see you guys, not in the morning, because I gotta work. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, playing a very similar game today, except the name of the game is now Don't Drop the Transmission or the Torque Converter. Pretty simple rules, but a pretty complicated task. So, only thing to do is start cranking. This is miserable. Never do this on your own. It is just such a... I think I got it. I did it. We're on.
We did it, Joe.
Don't do this ever. It's stupid. Get friends. That will help you. And do it with somebody else. Ideally, 2 other people. That would be great. Ideally, on a lift. That would be better. Ideally, with a transmission jack. That would be even better. Okay, bell housing bolts are in, torque converter bolts are in. Neither one are torqued, but I don't know if you could tell. This is the sky that I was dealing with. This is the sky that I'm about to deal with. I don't know if you can hear the thunder in the background, but I'm about to get dumped on. So, general consensus, yeah, rain's starting. General consensus, my vote on install of a Mercomatic transmission by yourself, a fat 0 out of 10. Do not do it. Get a friend. I don't need friends. They disappoint me.
I don't need friends. They disappoint me.
No, but in all seriousness, I should have had somebody here. It was just a pain lining everything up on your own. Don't do what I did. I'm an idiot. But she's in, so I gotta clean up here. And I'm also still dumping oil out of my dipstick, so I gotta get that dipstick tube on and clean up my tools before it absolutely starts pouring. But all in all, what a sight to look at right here. Cool looking car, never gets old. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow when I get to wrap this thing up. Then we'll start our oil change, filters, and take a look at that rear diff. I gotta hurry, so I'll talk to you later. Another day, another dollar. I got my little exhaust crossover welded back in and pinned back up, so that's all set. So as of now, we should be all set to pour some new fluid in this thing, fire up, and see if it shifts into gear. And I was thinking last night that I never tested this transmission, so I don't even know if it goes in gear. That would have been a good thing to check before I tore it apart. But nonetheless, we're going to fill it up and cross our fingers. So let's get this thing full of transmission fluid and we'll fire the car back up, see if it even fires back up. Now I don't even know how much came out of this thing, so I'm just gonna start filling and periodically checking. And then I gotta figure out my temporary gas tank situation. I know I had one rigged up last time too, so we'll figure it out. Okay, battery's hooked up. I got a little temp tank, same one that I used last time, just sitting on the top of the hood over here. So we should be all set to fire this thing up and see if she goes and see if she leaks. It's been about a year, it's been a minute, so I'm gonna give her a little prime. We're gonna figure out once again, can it Kirkland? All right, let's twist the key, see what happens. Fire in the hole. I'd say that's pretty good for sitting for a year. I got oil pressure and we are charging. I remember those lights work. That's all well and good, but that tire's spinning, and I don't know why. That's in gear for sure. Yeah, that's in gear. Am I leaking? I'll check my transmission fluid again, but pretty sure it was full. Yep, sure enough, I pulled the stick and she dry. Must have sucked it up. Drink up, Fran. I don't want to overfill it, so I'm going to let it settle in. Take another dipstick reading. Try again. Okay. Well, here's the thing. I was low, like I was saying. That part doesn't change. But I think that rear wheel was just spinning because it's in the air, because now I am full after checking, and now I can put it in drive and my other wheel starts spinning. So maybe it's just since there's no tension from it being on the ground. That's my hypothesis for now, but we can prove that once it's back on the ground. But before we do that, I need to change the oil on this thing. So I'm gonna, while it's up in the air, I'm gonna drop the oil, drop my filter. I have a new filter coming in tomorrow. Why I waited this long to buy one, I don't know, but it'll be here tomorrow. And in the meantime, while it's up in the air, I'm going to fill up that rear diff. I'm not even going to say check it. I'm going to fill it up because I know it's going to be empty. Well, close to at least. It's still leaking. I'm sure that thing has been leaking since it was parked, which was 30 years ago, I think was what I determined. Maybe while it was in the shop, they knew it was leaking, so they were topping it off while they were, because they did say that they started it to move it around the shop every once in a while. But it is steadily dripping. Not that steady, but you know what I mean. So we're going to fill that thing up, get an oil change done, and then this thing will be serviced, and we'll move into brakes after. So let's see if I can't make a mess. Grab a pan. I bummed it around with like kitty litter pans for the longest time, ever since I was a kid. And I finally invested in like a tub, but low profile. It'll change your life if you haven't, you know. What I'd really like in the future when I have like an actual shop is one of those roll away steel ones that it's kind of looks like a jack, except it's oversized and it has like baffles in it and everything. Those are slick, but they do be expensive. I also know that this is probably going to be pretty liquidy because it's over full, and I'm pretty sure I remember it smelling like fuel last time. Yeah, not much viscosity left in that oil, but we're gonna do her some good. Put some quality fresh stuff in it, in a new filter, and this filter is from 1982. Wow. I think this is my first ever oil change where the filter was how it should be, you know, hand tight, not cranked all the way to Timbuktu. Cam 2 oil filter. Never heard of her. Well, I can't feel anything, I can't see anything, but from what I can feel, I can't feel nothing.
What?
It's low, is what I'm saying.
Mayonnaise?
You didn't think it was only going to take one, did you? I don't really have a good way of putting a funnel in here, so I kind of got to do it the old school bottle feed way. I think I got it. Didn't even notice I was full until I was. Somebody help me and get that plug back in, dang it. What I really need is a box of those pig mats. I'd really make good use of those. If anyone wants to be generous and send me some, P.O. box is in the description. All right, another day on this thing. Now that we got the transmission settled, hopefully, we're gonna move on to brakes and fuel. Fuel system, there's a lot of soft lines involved, so I got a sneaky suspicion that some of them are gonna be swelled up and collapsed. So we'll look into that. If they aren't, then great. We'll blow some air through it, see what we get. Brakes. The rears, I did take a peek at them before. The rears are in terrible shape. However, the fronts look like they were replaced last year, even though they weren't. Two things that I'm banking on: one, soft lines for sure, and two, wheel cylinders. So I think I'm gonna, all the way around, replace those two things. And then I think in front, I'm gonna leave my hardware and pads and drums, obviously. In the rear, I'm thinking we'll do a full refresh other than the drums. But I'll keep you posted with what I find here. I'm gonna tear everything open, see what we got. All of my brake lines, I'm gonna see how those do, judging by how greasy and oily everything was down under. Fingers crossed, there's a good chance that those brake lines were preserved well because of all the grease. So that's what I'm hoping, at least, but we'll see. Another big area that we're gonna have to watch for is the master cylinder. Back then it was Luxury. It was a brake boost system with the master cylinder up front, but it's all one unit, and those are non-existent nowadays. So if I get lucky, I can get a rebuild kit and rebuild it. However, I'm hoping I can get the pedal unstuck from the floor and see if that thing breaks free. I'm just gonna ease into it and see what happens. So I'm gonna knock these wheels off and get to work. I'll keep you posted with what I find. Update. Glad that I am replacing the soft lines, because I just went ahead and took a Sawzall to them, you know, to relieve the pressure. And this one, you can kind of see the little hole there. It's supposed to be a lot bigger than that. This one, there is no hole. So I'm glad that I bought the parts to replace these. I got the new soft lines on, took a peek at the front brake setup, and those are basically brand new, wheel cylinder and all, so we're gonna just leave those how they are. The rears, I think I'm gonna replace the pads and hardware and wheel cylinders since I'm gonna be in there, and bleed the system, call it good. But I think this video is getting pretty long-winded, so if you want to see a full brake rebuild video, jump on over and watch the international video. This one I'm just gonna breeze through quickly so we can get this thing on the road. I kicked my butt. I will say it is very nice to be working on parts that are tiny. I'm used to old trucks and stuff, you know, 1 ton, 3/4 ton rear axles where, you know, everything's 1,000 pounds. And this is real nice and light, so I am grateful for that. But man, figuring this one out, this stupid washer was hanging me up, and I'm like, you know, this washer looks homemade for one, and two, I couldn't get my last spring on because it was sticking out too far, and I'm looking at everything, and nothing was lining up either. Everything was like, you could tell it was just pushed out 1/16 of an inch too far, you know, which for this was obviously too far. So did away with that stupid washer. Everything fit up just fine after that. So this one's all set. Got to jump over to the other side, and then my buddy's coming over to help me bleed brakes, so I got to get moving. All right, let's see what this thing's like. Ugh. Oh no. That is nasty. Okay, so my pedal is free, so here's how I plan to bench bleed the master cylinder. Just a short little run right back into the fluid in there, and I'm just gonna pump the pedal and wait until all the air bubbles are out, and then we should be good to bleed the system from there. All right, I've flushed this a couple times. I got the pedal moving in there, so this might work. Where is it? There we go. It is pumping for the moment, and it's looking a lot cleaner. So I'm gonna fill this up again, keep squeezing the pedal, and hopefully this comes all back around and we can use it.
Great success.
I got updates. I'm on the driver's side, bleeding the brakes. I'm with Teeter. He's my designated PP. Pedal pusher. Everything's bleeding out okay, except the front, which I'm pretty sure I was just talking about. It's good, which everything does. It looks great. Wheel cylinder, for whatever reason, is not bleeding on this side. It is on the driver's side. So I'm gonna swap out this wheel cylinder real quick, and then we're gonna get to pedal pushing again and PPing. And then once this is bled, we're getting a pedal back, so I think we should be good to go. Once these fronts are bled, I think we should have a pedal. So I'm gonna get to work on this last wheel cylinder here, and I will update you once it's swapped out.
I wish the girls were here for a beveragino. Did someone say beveragino?
Well, another day on this thing. Unfortunately, I have some good news, I have bad news, and I have really bad news. The original plan for this video was I knew it was going to be a lot, but I was going to cram everything into one video get this thing roadworthy, take her for a cruise at the end of the video, and wrap this project up for now. That was the plan. The good news is that plan almost came true. I got it reliably running. We got the transmission all sealed up and had to do some adjustments, but got the shift linkage working right, got the brakes working right. I took this thing out for its initial cruise just to, because again, I wanted to keep this video simple, so I just took it out for a test run to test the brakes, just make sure that I had good brake pressure, the master cylinder was working all right, the transmission was shifting all right, all that stuff. Just wanted to work out the kinks just before I took my camera gear out and did some shooting with it, getting nice shots for you guys and everything. Well, that maiden voyage went really well. I did some adjustments, got everything working right. Took it out for coffee, sitting there enjoying my coffee, looking out at the car, and some guys are looking at the car. It's all well and good. Police cruiser pulls up, and ambulance pulls up, and a fire truck pulls up. Uh-oh. Ran outside. Hey guys, what's going on? Well, come to find out, I filled this thing up, filled the fuel tank up, because I was just working off a 5-gallon jug, so this is my first time actually having fuel in the tank. And, well, the tank wasn't sealed very well. Right along that middle seam, it was spewing fuel everywhere, all over the road. Perfect. Cops were not happy with me, but I jumped in the driver's seat, said, "See you guys, I'll fix it later," and took off. Got it home, knew I was going to have to order some parts for it, but I figured, hey, for the video, I will drain the tank so it's not leaking and wrap the video up. So I washed it up all nice, rolled the windows down, got it all ready for recording today. One, got unexpected rain, as you could see, with the windows fully down. That was nice. Two, there was some ticking going on. Some ticking that wasn't there before. And if you remember, when I drained the oil, I didn't see anything, no metal shavings or anything like that, just a little bit of material on the drain plug. I didn't open up the filter at all. Let me show you what that ticking is. All right, let's fire this thing up. I have a lot of stuff disconnected in there, vacuum lines and stuff, so I'm sure it won't run the best, but it'll be good enough to show you what we're doing. Hear the ticking. Passenger side, I'm going to record it and then I'll explain it later. So I'm going to pause the video so I can explain, but you could see cylinder 4 and 3 have one of their 2 push rods oiling, and the rest of them do not. And actually, if you look closely to cylinder 4, where the noise is coming from, one of the push rods is not spinning. So I'm assuming that my tick started happening once that lifter was completely wiped out from not oiling, which is not good. So unfortunately, I am left in a situation where I think we're going to be looking at a rebuild, which is such a bummer, because this thing, from the short amount of time that I was able to drive it, I was really looking forward to cleaning this thing up and making it road reliable and just having fun with it on weekends and stuff. Where I'm sitting at right now, obviously that is not going to happen. The more I run it, the more issues I'm going to have. All those metal shavings are going to work their way in, and the longer I run it, the more risk I have at total failure, and I don't want that. At least right now, how the engine sits, it is rebuildable. I talked to my friend that I've brought up on this channel before, just kind of picking his brain about it. He brought up maybe putting some diesel fuel in the crankcase to see if the gunk in the push rods would free up a little bit, just to prolong it. But obviously, where I'm sitting right now, I just don't want to run this thing with how it is right now. I think I'm just going to do more harm than good, unfortunately. But I'd like to know your guys' thoughts. Do you agree with him? Maybe putting diesel in the crankcase to see if it clears up some of the gunk and run it for a little bit? Or should I just park this thing and not turn the key again until I'm pulling the engine and looking at a rebuild? There were other things that I was going to be doing to this in the upcoming videos. Again, I was just going to stab it on the road for some footage, but there were some things that we came across that I already ordered parts for that I'm planning on doing to this to make it more roadworthy. One being that pinion seal back there. That shot, obviously, that's been leaking for a long time. Universal joints, both front and rear on the drive shaft, need replaced badly. It really clunks into gear. The rear seal on the transmission at the tail housing needs replaced. That's still leaking. Didn't know it was leaking until I ran it recently. And then the fuel tank, probably fuel sending unit. Electrical tune-up, I was gonna throw a new starter relay, new points condenser, the whole shebang. You know, I was gonna be doing some things here and there, but now we're looking at teardown. Not sure how far I should take it though. So I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts. Please weigh in. Should I just be replacing the lifters and push rods maybe, and maybe rockers, just do like a top end and throw it back together? Or should I yank this whole thing and just do a full rebuild? It does have 100,000 miles on it, almost. It could be due for just a total overhaul. Pull it, bore the cylinders, new rings, new pistons. How far should I take this thing? I really don't know. I mean, it is a forever car for me. I'm going to keep this thing around on the channel. So let me know what you think. I am totally bummed out though. I apologize that I'm leaving you guys here without a first time on the road ending, but believe me when I say that video will happen at some point, I promise. So for now, I'll leave it here. We got a lot coming on this channel, so if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it, all that fun stuff really helps me out and where I'm going. Follow me on Instagram, the Tiki Takis, Facebook. I will say, I apologize. I'm sure some of you have noticed that the videos slowed down slightly, and that is probably going to happen for about another month. And there is a good reason for that, I promise. I'm going to do my best to come out with videos as much as I can, but we're going to be having some good news, some big news coming up soon. So with that, I will see you all in the next one, but always remember, don't be afraid to grab that wrench and get after it yourself. See you next time.